Well, I'll say this. We're going to get into the Eagles, but just this last week, Penn State, ultra collapse. Eagles get blown out by the Giants. The Phillies lose in the most embarrassing fashion. It's been a very joyous kind of hate watching lately. And these are some of my least favorite programs / franchises. And great stuff. We gotta let's destroy Penn State.
Well,
real quick.
I was away, but I was watching Penn State UCLA on my phone, and I mean, it kind of looked like early Penn State like just didn't want to be there. They you ever do this where you see a score and you're like, nah, that can't be right. And you go somewhere else to see like what the score. That's what I did with Penn State UCLA, because at first it was like UCLA 7, Penn State nothing. I was like, oh geez, that's crazy. And then it's 27-7. I saw the end of the half, but I wasn't watching it at one point. I was like 27-7. There's no way this is true. There's no way this is right. I go to like multiple scores like places, Google. I go on ESPN and CBS, and they all say it. I'm like, no way. So you're watching the second half, and there was a point. I mean, early in the third quarter, you're like, Penn State's gonna come back and win this game. They get the touchdown pretty easily. UCLA is an awful defense, and then they block the punt. UCLA goes 3-out. They block the punt, and they get a touchdown off of it. So you're like, okay, it's 27-21. You're like, okay. Yeah, we had our fun here. It was fun while it lasted, but Penn State's gonna, take over in this game. And then they didn't. And then Nico Iamaleava ran over this defense. I said this on my radio show. I bashed Penn State on my radio show because you got the highest paid offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator in college football. You bring over Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator from Ohio State, who was elite. And you obviously have Andy Kotelnicki, who was the most innovative offensive coordinator in college football. And Penn State pays a hefty, fee to get his services. And especially defensively, but offensively, obviously, too, for Penn State. It's a mess in all regards. I do not know how they gave up so many yards to UCLA.
Yeah.
It was just incredible.
And we know how talented Nico is, but they've been terrible. They lost to New Mexico by 20 or whatever.
They lost 35-10 to New Mexico. They lost in the most poverty Power 4 team in the Big Ten. They lost to Northwestern 17-14. And they're a terrible team. They can't score. They haven't been able to throw the ball at all.
They had a new coach who's actually Tim Pickett or Pritchard or something. I forget his name, but he's pretty respected. He's the interim head coach. But they had brand new coordinators and a brand new head coach. It was
they had the his son.
Neuheisel's son.
Yeah.
But he said he didn't even know how to work the headset.
Yeah,
and he's cooking Penn State's defense.
No, but the thing was, like, UCLA threw a little bit early, but it was just they couldn't throw the ball consistently at all.
Yeah.
Like, you knew they were going to be running like every play. And Penn State, they're usually elite. That's why I thought this year, like, they had a high floor because they have that elite defense.
Right.
I don't think they have an elite. I mean, you can't have that showing giving up almost 500 yards against UCLA and save an elite defense. They just down after down, they just they just gave it to Penn State's defense, and they couldn't stop them running the ball. And Nico had a couple like 50-yard runs that really demoralized that. Like, it was 27-21, and you're like, okay, Penn State's going to get the ball back, they're going to win. And then Nico, on third down, gets a 50-plus yard run that gets him into the red zone. And then they score a touchdown, and Penn State's trying to match him. And Penn State's not a team that's going to score a bunch of points anyway like that, like trying to match teams. But we didn't think UCLA was anywhere close to a team that could do that anyway. So, Jim, I mean, that was just a terrible performance by the defense. And I'm not going to put any, like, I'm not going to give them, you traveled across the country. That's not an excuse.
Oregon traveled across the country.
Oregon did, and Penn State, all these West Coast teams, USC, UCLA, Oregon, Washington, you don't get that excuse. And neither does the big brands in Big Ten, because they added them to the Big Ten. You knew this was going to happen. You said, for more money, we'll bring these teams in. So you cannot complain about that when it doesn't go your way. You either go West Coast to East Coast or East to West. So that's not an excuse. You can't use that excuse and have it be credible. And offensively, I mean, how do you get like last year they were at least like pretty decent, and Drew Aller was looking pretty good.
Yeah.
And they were complaining every game, we don't have any wide receivers. Obviously they had Tyler Warren, which I think that really is hurting Penn State this year, not having Tyler Warren, who just caught everything thrown in his direction, and was kind of a guy that even you could put anybody on them, even the most elite defensive players in college football. He was going to make the plays, and you don't have that this year. Even though I think you did upgrade the wide receiver position, there's definitely a down. I don't even know who their tight end is. I've never even seen their tight end catch a pass. Maybe once. I don't even know who it is. And so there's certainly that. But Andy Kotelnick, he's supposed to be this offensive guru, this genius, and Drew Aller. And now part of it's Drew Aller's like missing. I think he's missing a lot of open.
Drew Aller is so bad.
But he is not big. It's bad for Penn State. There's these Penn State fans saying, "What a run by Drew Aller! He ran up the."
That's all he does. That's all he does.
He had the one run, and UCLA missed like 5 tackles.
And that's how they were scoring against UCLA. They literally stopped passing because Drew Aller can't pass. Like that 4th and 2, they did that read option, that jet sweep option. Like, you got to be throwing the ball in that situation, you would think. They don't trust him. It's come to the point they don't trust him to throw the ball. And the fact that this kid was such a highly talented prospect this year, and every single year, like, I was kind of, like, hopeful for him. When I saw him his freshman year, like, his arm, the toughness. You can't question his arm talent and the toughness. But when you can't read the field and be accurate, you're not going to be a good quarterback at this level. Like, that's just simple. Everybody knows that. And he's not either of those things. And it's just crazy. Like, we see this with Cade Klubnik. Like, we hailed this quarterback class as such a great quarterback class. And none of these guys have proved anything. And they continue to prove nothing this year. I mean, he is really just off. And I had some hope because of his physical traits and the offensive coordinator. Some of the, you thought they maybe would have some better weapons. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but like there's no excuses for this. There's no excuses for him. He is what he is
for this team, and for them to be 3-2, like the sky is falling right now. I mean, literally. I mean, like you could salvage your season, if you take care of business against UCLA. We got UCLA coming up in Northwestern. We got some games where you can get right and everything, and then obviously in a little bit playing Ohio State. This team, there's no chance they make the playoffs now. No chance at all.
They have to go undefeated and win the Big Ten.
They'd have to go undefeated. Yeah, that's what they would have to do, and they've given no indication at all this season that they could do that. And it's interesting. Like, people are starting to question, like, is Oregon even like really that good? Because what was this Penn State like? They were messing around.
Well, they'll play in Indiana. They'll see how they do. That'll be an interesting game this week.
But I kind of want to go back to UCLA a little bit because with the transfer portal, it seems like we have this every single year, and I thought that we had this with UCLA, and it started in maybe it started a year before. I just didn't realize, but in 2023, I call this the Fulger-Kovic effect because it's whenever you bring in this transfer that has experience, he comes to your program, and you just have this awful season that just completely demoralizes your entire program. That was Pitt 2023 with Fulger-Kovic. The season after was Florida State with DJ Uiagalelei. Like it was just a disaster. I can't pronounce.
No, I don't know if I'm even. I like to say Unga. I like to say Unga.
But then you got this year, and we thought that was the case with Nico Iamaleava because of how bad they started. I mean, I know how talented he is, but if you lose to 2 scores against New Mexico, I don't care your personnel. You're a 5-star recruit that played in the SEC the year before in the playoff, and that's how you can't put up points against New Mexico. But Penn State really didn't make it seem like this was the same situation. Iamaleava ran all over them. It was like he literally ran for 120-some yards. I mean, it's just I don't know how you can explain that from a defense that's supposed to have all this high personnel. And I'm not a Penn State hater. You guys know that. Like I'm not.
We
like,
are.
You guys. I know you guys are.
Penn State.
Obviously, I'm not gonna be like, I hate Penn State, but it's just kind of got like I was kind of laughing during that game because it's like what do you do like this? You were supposed to be a national championship contending like. I know we've mentioned this so many times, but you were supposed to win the Big Ten this year. I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, well, it's Penn State, they weren't." But your roster, you're supposed to win it. Like Drew Aller, this is technically his 4th season in college football, his 3rd as a starter. I mean, there has to be some improvement. There just isn't, and I know
the fact that they were ranked over Ohio State.
Yeah, and the
oh
thing,
my
and the
gosh.
thing is, like, James Franklin, like, yes, he's a great recruiter. He turned that program around. Penn State can't develop quarterbacks, and that's a huge issue.
They can't develop quarterbacks or weapons other than running back.
Right, and it's become an issue because you could get away with that 10 years ago with, you have this great defense. You just have a quarterback that can develop. However, we've seen Alabama win it with some quarterbacks that, like, Jake Coker the one year. Like, they were able, but you can't do that anymore because these quarterbacks are like, once Joe Burrow threw 60 touchdowns in one season, that was all out the window. You have to have this elite quarterback to win now, and we're just not seeing that. So
it was, I completely agree, Jake, and it was just, I mean, even if you weren't a hater, I think just normal college football fans were laughing at it. Yeah. And I think it was a similar thing with Texas because there's all those expectations, and they're just not that team. Mm-hmm. You just laugh about it, and it's just like, if I'm Penn State going in that game, okay, Nico can't throw the ball right now. These wide receivers are terrible, and he's just not that guy. But he could beat us with his legs. He could beat teams with his legs. So let's have a spy on him. Yeah. Right? Let's just have a linebacker spy on him. It's not like they're going to be passing it a bunch anyway. And they didn't have a spy, and he just cooked them consistently. And I just want to reiterate, I mean, we've all heard the points and everything, but it was just the most shocking thing I've seen in so long in college football. UCLA hasn't led all season in a game. They haven't had the lead in a game all season. They never trailed against Penn State. I just think it needs to be reiterated because it is.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to reiterate.
It's just insane. Like, I mean, that's a game where you end your football career over, And I don't see how serious changes can't be made, but like, I was thinking too, like, Jim Knowles is a great defensive coordinator. Like, we all know that. We saw him at Ohio State, and it wasn't just the players; it was the scheme that he had that was really good. And Andy Kotelnicki did a great job, with Kansas. He was a great offensive coordinator with the Jayhawks, who have never been a good offense or defense or anything. And I just don't know how it hasn't translated.
I can tell you how. Big game James. Not only can he not win the big games, now he can't. Why are you doing?
Big game James. Like, it's little.
Now he's little game. I'm gonna pout because we lost to Oregon and not have my team ready to go.
Well,
go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, this is literally 4 years ago. I don't know if you guys remember, but Penn State against Iowa, that was a big game, like two top 5 teams. And Penn State loses, and then I don't know if this was the week after or whatever. Then they lose to Illinois, like very soon after. Was that
they fell off? They just
they went 7-6.
And Frank, he makes the same excuses every single press. He's always making excuses. Like it's great. Like, he is such a clown for making all these excuses. I'm not going to get into that, but
UCLA is a great football team. We played a great football team.
Well, he was like, "What? We just weren't ready to go with the travel. Like, that should not come out of your mouth. Like, what are you?"
Oregon traveled across the country and beat you at Penn State
in a whiteout, and that atmosphere, one of the hard, if not the hardest atmosphere in college sports.
Yeah.
Here's what Penn State has to learn. They knew. I think they've known that James Franklin is an issue. So they throw all this money at these coordinators, saying that's going to fix our problems. But when your head coach is mentally soft, that's how the team is. They are a mentally soft football team. He schedules a bunch of nobodies in the preseason. They never play a tough non-conference game. Never. Look at their schedule next year. It's even worse. It's even worse in terms of how easy it is. And then they get in these big games. They beat all these bad teams, and then they get in these big games, and they just consistently are outplayed and
out-schemed and out-coached.
Yeah.
And they're not tough. There's no toughness. There's no mental toughness, and they get physically they're not tough enough. And that falls on the head coach. And so they made a big mistake throwing all these money at coordinators, thinking that's just going to solve all their problems, when the same issues of losing these big games and consistently being mentally tough and physically tough is the issue.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
And with Franklin, like I know this is a little off topic, but like talk about the schedule, like him and Penn State, like they will not play Pitt unless it's literally three out of 4 games at Penn State. And I get the money situation, but Notre Dame's playing at Pitt this year. It's not like it's not like there's like Notre Dame would honestly have more of a right to say that because they've been more relevant recently.
Notre Dame
I don't get mad at Penn State for playing. I don't get mad at Penn State for not playing Pitt. I get mad if they don't play anybody.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't even have to be Pitt. Play somebody. Get your team prepared.
Yeah.
Get beating Villanova 59-3 isn't preparing. Now everyone plays an FCS team, but like for them to play Villanova, Nevada,
FIU,
and
FIU,
it actually, but the signs were there because some
FIU was like
they were.
Yeah.
These teams were not hammering these teams like they should have.
Yeah,
been,
they did like the late when Nevada and stuff when they gave up, they piled on in the fourth quarter.
But even when you're not hammering those teams, you see the issues. The players aren't going to fix things in practice. You know, they're not going to be motivated because they're still winning these games. Like it's a mentally soft program and because of a mentally soft head coach right now, and they're physically soft. Like it's a cultural issue at this point, in my opinion. It's a cultural issue. Hey, if you're throwing all this money at coordinators, you should have no problem. If you have all the money in the world, they're buying Ohio State's coordinator, Kansas coordinator. They should have no problem paying James Franklin's buyout if they want to see actual change. Mm-hmm. But, you know, I don't know
they can't
if they'll do it.
No, you can't do the buyout. They cannot do that buyout. They're going to need to, because it's over $50 million. Like, you cannot do that in NIL. You can't pay a coach $50 million to leave and pay your players now. Yeah. That's just the reality. They're stuck. Like, that's like the funny thing from my perspective and the ironic perspective. Like, they're stuck with them for a while unless they come to agreement of parting ways where James Franklin just goes and gets another job somewhere. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't, like, if I'm James Franklin, I don't want to do, like, I want to hold their feet to the fire, you know, and I don't want them to let them off the hook if they want to get rid of me. I don't want to, let them off the hook, and I want $50 million.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is it really $50 million?
Yeah. Let me look it up.
I mean, I just don't think there's... If they really wanted to get rid of James Franklin, I really think they could buy. There would be a donors out there who would buy him out.
Yeah.
I really think that it's like maybe in the money they've spent overall, like it seems impossible, but like I think they could do it if they really wanted to. Right. I really think they could.
And we're not going to see it during the season, obviously, because yes, this was catastrophic, but they're going to wait to see how the season plays out. Because if you fire a head coach now, even if you can't afford it, that screws your season. Yeah, that screws your season altogether.
Yeah.
Like you hardly, like, even in the, like, look at the NFL. Whenever a team fires their head coach midway through the season, they never win at all. They just never do. And Penn State, their cause isn't going to be helped right now. But at the end of the season, that's a whole other story. Who knows what they end up doing? So.
Yeah. It's $50 million.
Yeah.
So
I'm telling you, I think it's possible. I think they could if donors stepped up. If there was a real need.
But they've been stepping up, like and this is where they're at. Like they've been stepping up. The donors have been, they paid, these coordinators so much. I don't know.
But you could maybe buy out like part of it, and then say, go to another school. They'll pay you. I don't know.
You should go to Cornbread State now instead of playing them.
Imagine James Franklin as the head coach of UCLA after that. That'd actually be very funny.
Oh my gosh. Well, so
let's shift.
And I want to say this. People talk about this in the Penn State community. Drew Allard. This is a bit their thing of not being able to develop quarterbacks and misevaluating quarterbacks. Bo Perbula was there for them.
Yes.
He should have been the guy.
He's looking really solid.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll see. They play Alabama this week.
But the thing is, with Bo Perbula, you could double down on the run game and the running backs that they have because he's electric on his feet.
He would fit. Yeah. He would fit better. Yeah, like with this Penn State offense, like the way they want to do it, like being run heavy. But it's just you just sit back and watch as the house is burning down. You just sit like this in your recliner. You'll watch Big Game James and Little Game James, and you're just like, that's nice. $50 million buyout, that's nice. And yeah, the hate. I'll continue to hate because they want to hate on Pitt. That Pitt is always in their minds for
That's
some
true.
reason.